Hi, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about an update at where things are at. It's been 8 months since my last video. I am sorry about that. I have tried to make a couple videos in that time, and they felt really scattered and just a mess, so I did not post them. And then I wanted to also talk about how the situation then has affected my BPD and vice versa. So last time I did the video, my husband had just moved out, and I had the feelings of loss and fears about what it would mean, particularly for my girls and just our future in general. Those feelings have subsided. That is wonderful. Was really able to enjoy Christmas, looking around and having that peace in the house, and know that that is what I've been waiting for. So that's been really good. But of course, there's been a whole lot of battles and struggles because now I have 2 girls in school, nursery and preschool, so not huge commitments, but enough so. And their school days are super short, so there's a lot of driving back and forth to the neighboring town. And then working. I'm part-time, but I'm working just under full-time hours. And that's simply because I'm spread so thin, I could not lose another hour of sleep. Would not be possible. And yeah, you just do what you gotta do. Lots of stuff with the kids with school, busy fundraisers and bake sales and stuff like that, which is stressful, not so fun. Of course, Christmas presents for the teachers and yada yada, and decorating the house for Christmas. That was a little bit late, but it was done, and the kids loved that and helped me out. Anyway, get myself more on track. So yes, things are extremely busy. Getting up, getting the kids ready for school, guarding them to school, getting back home, getting myself ready for work, getting them ready for the rest of their night if they're going to be at their grandparents' or going to be at their dad's, pick them up, bring them to where they're going to be, go to work all night myself. It's intense. But that's, I guess, just the way it is, and I signed up for it, and I'm okay with that. Kids are handling things pretty well. There is sometimes where they talk about wanting us to be a family, but typically only after they've been at their dad's house for a couple days. So, not convinced that he's not trying to indoctrinate them on that. But for the most part, they're happy. I talk to them a lot about if they feel happy, if they feel safe in the environment, feel open to talk about the things that they need to. So then that's been really beneficial, I think. I also am going to start doing family meetings. We had one this morning because we started with some name calling. You know, they call each other baby or silly goosey. So things like that are really petty, but that'll just get under the other one's skin like nobody's business. Before you know it, I hear, well, they hit me or they tugged on my hair. So we were starting to have more family meetings to try to deal with, okay, why are we being mean? What is our objective? Our objective, of course, is to be a strong team, and we can't be a strong team if we're not constantly choosing kindness and love, walking through the thought process of when something starts to make you upset, like somebody picking up that doll that you want, and instead of immediately reaching and grabbing it, asking for a turn. Anyway, you see what what I'm dealing with. 4 and 5-year-old. It's not so bad, but trying to nip some of those problems in the bud while it's still they're moldable and they're willing to be a part of a team, because I'm sure they're not gonna really care about being my little team player soon. 5 years down the road, hopefully. My oldest enjoys going to see her dad, which is great. My youngest is starting to come around, but that is a little bit difficult. She is a mama's girl, so she doesn't really like to spend time with daddy, never really has. And then it's also hard because they'll say, oh, well, he got mad at us for this or that, and trying to talk with them in a way that is just, asking questions about their visit, but trying to find out, okay, well, is this, you're saying he's angry all the time because you are calling your sister names or you're taking her toys, and so it just feels like all the time because he's having to reprimand them for making lots of bad choices, or if there is some issues, which is why I wanted to stay as long as I could with him, so that I could spare them from anything and everything. Then again, I suppose leaving did do that. Something that my youngest talked about the other day was how she likes to keep track and talk about when she's had like paper cuts or just any kind of little owie, but then also if she's thrown up in the car. Both my girls, super car sick. Once they turn 4, for whatever reason, then they start to grow out of it. So that's great. But 2 and 3, rough years. But so she was talking about when she had thrown up in the car, and she said, oh, remember you and Dad were arguing? And that was 2 years ago Thanksgiving. He was really mad about the weather, and he was driving too fast. And my little sister was in the car even, with the girls, and excuse me, sorry. And then my youngest started throwing up, and then that immediately makes him enraged, which doesn't help the situation, and it was really frustrating. So it's hard hearing how even 2 years ago they remember different things, and so that really hurts. But again, finding that when are they old enough to kind of look out for themselves and to be able to talk to me about if everything is okay and safe and happy at their dad's, versus waiting so long that then they think this dysfunction is love, this is life. It's just such a balance. Hopefully I struck the right one. So seeing some of that stuff, it's not too often that they talk about us getting back together. Try to just keep it really positive about, oh, did you have fun at Daddy's? Oh, you did, that's so great, I'm so glad you had fun. I want you to enjoy your time, and tell me about what else you did. So I feel like that's kind of helping, because then they'll just go off and talk about things. And around Christmas time, we'd drive around looking at lights, and we'd talk about the visit. It was usually very nice. I have noticed that there's been some things that have happened to where after the new year, my girls, as soon as I picked them up, they told me, hey, Dad said we're not allowed to talk about you anymore. Which caught me off guard and broke my heart. And I said, oh, did he? Why did he say that? And my youngest had said how, oh, because he doesn't love you. So I asked my oldest, because she's a little bit more reliable, and I said, oh, did Daddy say that? And she said, yeah. So I said, okay, well, girls, how do you feel about that? And they both kind of just like drooped their heads down. They're like, sad. And I said, yeah, I can understand that. You know, we always talk about Daddy, and, you know, if we bake cookies, we bring some over to him and stuff like that, which I'm trying to keep things as normal, but while still providing that distance, because, of course, things were not good between us. And when they ask why we can't be together, or why Daddy doesn't live here, I try to simplify it that, hey, we didn't get along living in the same house, and that's sad, and we don't like it, but that's the way that it is. Even though in my own words, I would not be saying such neutral or kind things. Because I do think that I know he's completely heartless and cold and selfish and manipulative and horrendous. And to hear him say that they can't talk about their mother was awful. So through text message, I confronted him so I can use that in court. And he eventually admitted that, yes, he did, that he just doesn't like me anymore and he doesn't want to hear about me. And how he feels like I've turned the kids against him. Which then had to remind him that probably having to call the sheriff's department on him a couple times because of anger outbursts and breaking things was probably what turned them against him. If there's any turning against. So yeah, we've had some hiccups just this past month. Not great. But with him being in a different home, I'm able to shield them from that a lot more, which is, of course, the point, is shielding them as much as possible from the complications that is a toxic relationship and separating family. So for the most part, they're doing good. They miss their mom. It's not easy on them that I am rushing here and there and I'm getting things ready for the day and then I have to go to work all evening. So that's hard. And likewise, I miss them so much. Sometimes I just cry on my way to work because I am so sad with how much I miss them and that I can't give them more time. So that's really hard. And as well as, I guess in a large part, I've made being a mom my identity. So having that taken away enough hours of the day, then that's really, really hard. And so then at work, I've decided to go with the super upbeat, that I'll be like, hey everybody, how you doing? And you know, some people are annoyed by it. I think only one really is annoyed by it. So sometimes I'm told that I'm fake, even though it's just trying to cope with exhaustion and a little bit of a breaking heart. So, anyway, it's a little bit hard also having my mom more involved, more consistently involved in my weeks, because I don't particularly get along with her, and I don't like trusting her with my most prized possessions. No. It sounds bad once I'm hearing it out loud. My most prized treasures. My girls are my most prized treasures. So trusting her with them is very difficult. And my mom has mentioned on numerous occasions that she wishes that I would just get back together with my ex, because she is tired of watching the kids, which is hard because I have known a lot of grandmothers who have bent over backwards just to get to see their grandkids, let alone if their children actually needed them. So that hurts because my mom is very selfish, and she doesn't really think about the consequences. So she doesn't care that I would be with somebody who would be unfaithful, or would manipulate me, would hurt me, or would break things in the house when he's mad for no real reason, just as long as she doesn't have to babysit the kids. So that's a stress that continues to go on, and that's a battle that I'm constantly having to diffuse and work through. Let's see. So how all these stresses have affected my BPD then. There's a lot of times I just feel disconnected because there is so much rushing to my day. There's so much just go, 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 that I could just sit there and stare at the wall and just zone out because I'm so exhausted. And unfortunately, there's sometimes when I feel like I'm such a bad mom, and so then I go off in my room and I just kind of like lay on my bed, and then I realize, okay, well, do you really feel like hiding away from your kids on the weekend right at this moment is the best way to be a good mom? And so trying to constantly kind of push through some of those things. And if I get myself in a rut where I really feel like I haven't done anything with the kids, and I think over the holidays when it was so much, okay, you gotta do wrapping these presents, you have to go grocery shopping, you've got to drive here and there, and all the different stuff that was going on, and cleaning up for, my parents to come over, then it was harder to connect with them. It's getting better this month now that things have calmed down. Christmas stuff is put away, so some of those things are getting off of my docket. So that's really good. Sorry. So then I'm able to start reading to the kids more. I was going for a while without reading to them, and I hate that because before everything changed with getting the separation, I read to my kids every single day, or every other day at worst. So I really took the time to try to connect with them. So I've been trying to be mindful of those different things, and to just walk up to them and give them a kiss on the head and let them know that I love them and they're so special to me and stuff. And it's funny because I'm sure plenty of you with BPD, you have so much love, so much warmth inside, but you don't let it out. And I think that is probably one of my greatest regrets in life, is being that way. That any kind of joy and love that I had inside, I didn't really let it out. I didn't tell people, hey, you know what? I actually really value your friendship. You're a bright and wonderful person. Or, I don't think I could ever tell my kids I love them enough. So I guess that regret will always be there, that did I only tell them that, 2-3 times that day? Well, I should have told them 20, So just trying to be mindful of, and this I've been working on for a while, of it doesn't hurt anybody to let out that love, but it hurts me if I keep it in. I have to carry that regret. I have to deal with a hurt relationship, say with my children. If if I'm so worried about protecting me because I worry about reciprocation, then I'm just denying us both. And usually, you know, when I see that happy little smile from my girls, that lets me know that that's exactly what they needed to hear. And, you know, and even with work relationships, I'm trying to be that open and friendly and cheerful person to kind of brighten their day and to let people know that you see them, because I don't think that a lot of people do feel seen. And I know I feel awful when I feel invisible. So anyway, I think I'm getting off that a little bit off topic, but so feeling disconnected, that's what I've been dealing with a lot, and just trying to work through that, which some days is much easier than others. I was dealing with it really bad every single weekend until I just completely melted down. I don't know, was it 2-3 weeks ago? I was just getting better from what I think was COVID, but I had been home a lot, and the kids were on winter vacation, and I, for whatever reason, didn't put all the symptoms together in my head. Anyways, by the time I could get tested, I was already feeling better, so it came back negative. But anyway, so when I was recovering from that, I just was so tired of being tired of not smelling or tasting anything, tired of just feeling like I wasn't mom, even though yes, I was having more time at home with them. I just didn't feel like as quality of time as what we used to have, or as much as I want, because I just fantasize about time that we get to spend together when I'm not with them. So I just broke down and bawled my eyes out and talked out what was wrong. And that was really eye-opening too. I am a lot more terrified of my mom pulling support and willingness to babysit more than I thought, because I'm afraid that if she does that, I'm gonna have no other choice but to go back to my ex. And I so badly, with everything that's in me, do not want to do that. I've worked so hard to get to this point, and I don't feel like it would be better for the kids. And I can't see, it'd be like going back into a prison, only a higher security prison, because he would clamp down and make sure I couldn't leave again. So I am terrified of my mom pulling support. And way out in the boonies where I live, I don't have a whole lot of options. So that's really hard too. And I just need her to hang in there for a couple years. She doesn't watch them that many times because my ex does help out with watching the kids in the evening. But anyway, and of course, I cried about not feeling like a good enough mom, and so that kind of just kind of, it's not, I knew I was worried about that, but for somehow saying it out loud to myself and letting out all those emotions, it was like, okay, well then, hey, let's look for small steps that encourage you, because of course, and I've talked about this plenty before, that if you start to feel any type of win, then that encourages you for that next win and the next win, and you just keep building momentum. And it feels like I've just been against the wind for so long, and I'm so exhausted. And it hasn't been so long. 8 months I've been working and going all of this, so it feels like I've been going against the wind, and so I'm exhausted. And I kind of had gotten out of the habit of taking the little victories until you have big victories, or many little victories that add up to complete success, whatever it would be. So somehow crying that out was able to kind of recalibrate me to then start taking those different steps. And yeah, just afraid of failing. So afraid of failing. This isn't the job that I hoped for. I had worked really hard for a job that would have been less hours, better pay, much better job security. It would have been really nice, and I had to do a lot of work for it. We're talking, they wanted to know absolutely everything about me, what county I've ever lived in, what name I had gone by in that county. There was essays and all sorts of things. It took months and interviews and to be down to the last 2, and I didn't make it. That was really hard. Anyway, so I'm not even work-wise where I wanted to be, because I only took this job because the job market was struggling so bad, and every interview I lined up, then either I had it, and then they decided, okay, with COVID, we're not going to hire on more. Or an interview would be canceled because COVID. So there's been that feeling of failure, I'm at that fallback job still. And it's like, okay, if you're on your fallback, you are so close to failure. But my work is always busy. I work very hard to be a good worker there. Successful on that so far. And it provides for our needs. So I suppose, all in all, not a failure, but I'm sure all of you can understand what it feels like to not be where you wanted, and how hard it is when things haven't worked out the way that you wish they would have. So, and then, yeah, I've been sick a lot too, so that stinks. Being worn down, was it COVID, wasn't it COVID? Tonsillitis right now. Just a lot of things where it kind of feels like just kind of knocking you down a little bit. But my children are in a safe place. They don't have to worry about what's going to happen when they're at home. They are lovely and joyous little creatures, except for when somebody takes their doll, then, it's prison throwdown. But barring that, loving, good creatures. My needs are met, so all in all, not too bad. Mostly just the disconnect and the lack of identity is really triggered with the BPD. So, what can you do? just keep making those steps and to giving yourself those reminders. I have talked to a lawyer. I still need to get my portion of our tax return from last year and some of the stimulus, so that then I can get the retainer that the lawyer requires, and then we can hopefully get things going. And so the fear of having to do 50-50 custody is very, very scary for me, and I don't want to screw over my ex at all. I want him to be able to see the kids. He sees them a couple days a week right now, maybe 2.5 days that he has them for the week. And I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. It's usually, no, it is when I'm having to work. So it's not taking from my weekends. So I feel like, hey, that's great. If they're not with me, I would want them to be with their other parent. He has some issues of not remembering to give them their vitamins, or not doing a great job making sure that they change their clothes or brush their teeth. But I feel like we're slowly starting to get there, and the girls are getting older, so I'm able to ask them, okay, well, did you guys do such and such and such and such? And if they said they didn't, then I'm able to remind them to work on that, or I'm able to remind him. So that's working out. As we get into the swing, so I'm fine with him seeing them as we currently have it. I just don't want to lose any more time with the kids. So that's a little bit scary. But it's almost been a year since we first had that conversation of, okay, it's time to get the divorce. So it's definitely time to get that divorce. He's kind of calmed down and he's kind of accepted it. It kind of goes up and down. So hopefully enough time has gone by to where then he's prepared and ready to accept that this is our life and we're still there for the girls. We have to be a team in that, but not married. So I'm really scared. I feel a little bit petrified or frozen inside taking that next step, even though I know that it's going to be very freeing. It will make me very happy. But still, the unknown. You know that. The unknown is ridiculous. It's scary. And I don't exactly know what I am going to be getting into by doing that. So anyway, so that's kind of where things are at. Sorry if this is a little bit of a mess, but this is far more put together than my other tries at the video. So anyway, but thank you so much for watching.